everyone, this is Sarah, the Catholic Homemaker. Today I wanted to share with you 5 tips to avoid getting a sunburn without using sunscreen. First of all, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already so we can continue to grow this community. Also hit the thumbs up button if you like this video and share this video and comment below if you have any additional tips on how to avoid a sunburn without using sunscreen. So the past few years, I've been trying to avoid using sunscreen at all. I've only used it less than a handful of times over the past few years. This year, 2022, I haven't used it at all. Last year, 2021, I think we just went to the beach one time, and I did use it then and on my kids because I was afraid of them getting a sunburn. Actually, I may not have used it on them, but we just limited our time at the beach and I had the rash guards and hats for them. So I may have completely avoided it for them, but not 100% for me. So I highly encourage you to listen to the Wise Traditions podcast, where there's 2 different podcast episodes with Elizabeth Plurd. She's a clinical laboratory researcher who has been researching about the damaging effects of sunscreen and she's been researching it for many years now, maybe even decades, because she talks about on there about how she saw like 30 years ago, the coral reef was so beautiful and now it's just disappearing and just dying. And her research is indicating it's because of the sunscreens being used, and it's not only harmful to the environment, but it's also harmful to us. So I knew for a long time that the conventional sunscreens were harmful to the coral reef and to the environment in general, but I didn't know that also the natural sunscreens were harmful not only to the coral reef, but to our health as well. And she argues that it is not the sun that causes skin cancer, it's actually the sunscreens and our lack of vitamin D, because the sunscreen blocks our absorption of vitamin D, and that may be the key reason why more people are getting cancer. She said it's actually increased over the years. It hasn't decreased, and sunscreen has significantly increased the usage of it over the past few decades. It has not decreased. It has only increased, and people are not just wearing it when they go to the pool or to the beach. They're wearing it like anytime they go outside, in a tinted moisturizer, or just sometimes they're putting it on under their makeup, and people really are not getting enough sun exposure, and that is actually what is causing skin cancer. And that may be hard to believe, but definitely check out the 2 podcasts. I'll link it in the description. She's written 2 different books on the subjects. The first one is called Sunscreen Biohazard. There's a subtitle, but I don't remember it. I will link to those books as well. I definitely want to get those books myself. And she actually talks about in her books about how to make sure you don't get burned in the sun. You don't want to get burned because that is actually causing damage to your skin. But you do want to get sun exposure, just get a tan and not get to the point of getting burned. So that's what this video is all about. My first tip is to cover up and seek shade. That's the most obvious thing that you can do without using sunscreen. And so when you go to a really sunny place, especially, make sure you wear a hat and cover up as much as you can. If you're going to the beach, use a beach umbrella. And it's of course good to get sun exposure, but you don't want to get to the point of getting burned. In the most recent podcast with Elizabeth Plurd, Hilda Labrada Gore talks about how it's such a shame that people are putting rash guards on their children and everything. And Elizabeth Plurd said that would be a good thing to use at the beginning of the summer before your body is actually used to so much sun. So that leads me into my next tip, which is to get a gradual tan over time. So you want to be getting year-round exposure to sunlight, not just randomly once in the middle of the summer going to the beach for 8 hours. Like that would just be a total shock to your body. So you don't want to go from only getting no sun at all to all of a sudden being in the sun for hours in the middle of the summer in the beach. Your skin, your body's not going to be used to that. So try to get sunlight exposure year round. When we first moved back to South Carolina in 2020, we had a playground in our neighborhood and we would go there every single day. We would go there around lunchtime. And so when we moved here, it was actually the summertime, but we had already been getting gradual exposure. We had been going out for at least 30 minutes to an hour every day. And so that gradually helps your skin get used to it. And I was doing that for well over a year. Like even in the wintertime when it was cold, we were still going out and getting exposure. So that kind of sunlight that you are getting in the wintertime versus the springtime or the summer is a lot less intense than you are in the middle of the summer. But if you gradually increase your exposure, not just year round, but like if you're starting at the beginning of the spring or the summer, you're just doing 15 minutes, maybe just start out with 15 minutes if that's all you can do, and then like increase to another 5 minutes the next day. That'll gradually get your skin used to doing it. Even if you have pale skin, start with as little or as much as you can tolerate. If that's 5 minutes, start with that. Increase by a minute if you're like really pale and sensitive skin. The next tip I have, and this is anecdotal, but I heard it from somebody and she and her family swear by it, but drink a ton of water. And she says you have to drink a lot of water the hour before you go outside and all the time that you're going to be outside. If that's going to be for 3 hours, drink a lot of water every single hour or throughout that time you're going to be outside. And then also the hour after you are outside, drink a lot of water too. I can't remember the exact amount she said, but it might have been like half your weight in body and half your body weight in ounces for every hour that you are out. So that would be a lot of water. So do your best. And so going back to that time last year or whenever the last time I went to the beach and I didn't wear sunscreen, I brought so much water with me and I had to go to the bathroom so badly, but I didn't get a bad burn. And we were out there for about an hour and I was getting exposed, but it wasn't bad. So in the past it would have been bad. And so I think the reason I did get burned is because I didn't even drink enough water that I should have, like the hour before or during, and definitely afterwards I didn't drink enough water because we went to a restaurant and it was kind of hard to do that. But I definitely saw good results, and I've seen results where I haven't had that much water versus where I have being out in the sun, and I definitely see a difference in drinking a lot more water. The fourth tip I have is eating a Weston A. Price diet. I have been eating a Weston A. Price diet since about 2011. And so I have noticed that prior to eating the Weston A. Price diet versus now, from starting eating a Weston A. Price diet, I wasn't burning nearly as badly as I used to. And so that alone itself made a difference. And then more recently, I've been completely avoiding vegetable oils. So we haven't been going out to eat. And I used to have a really bad habit of eating the kettle chips that my husband would bring home. And I haven't been eating those in a very long time, actually. And I have found that's made a huge difference in the way that my skin is, the way, I guess you could say, the quality of my skin. I feel like my skin is a lot nicer, a lot smoother. I'm not really seeing like any age spots pop up or anything, and maybe some have gone away. And I think that that is because I've completely been avoiding vegetable oils. So if you have a habit of eating vegetable oils, even if you're eating a Weston A. Price diet, I would highly encourage you to replace them with animal fats. So many people say that once they have switched over to animal fats from vegetable oils, that they're not burning nearly as easily in the sun. But I've also noticed my skin looking a lot better. I've also noticed it looking a lot better since I've just been using purely tallow balm for my skincare. And my 5th tip is from Elizabeth Plurd, to eat a high antioxidant diet. And she talks about this in her books. So that's definitely why I want to get her books, because she gives you more specific advice as to what to eat specifically in a high antioxidant diet that protects your skin. And finally, I want to share with you a good sunburn remedy. If you do actually end up getting burned, here's what you do. You immediately, when you start to see your skin turning pink, obviously get out of the sun if you can, cover up if that's all you can do, and put apple cider vinegar right on the burn. That's what I do every single time. And then you apply tallow balm to it. It's a really great sunburn remedy. And then another tip I've heard from my homeopath is kind of counterintuitive. Everybody says that you should take, like, you know, when you get a burn, you should put ice or cold on it. But actually, it is the opposite of ice in homeopathy, because the opposite of ice is you want to do like warm water or even like hot water slightly. Not enough to like burn you again, but just to slight discomfort. Take a warm shower. And I've heard people anecdotally say that that really helped with their sunburn, or they didn't even it didn't turn into a true burn because they did that. And with the other advice with the apple cider vinegar and the tallow balm, or just like pure tallow if that's all you have. So I hope you have found these tips to be helpful. I hope you have a wonderful week, and may God bless you and your family. Please let me know in the comments if you have additional advice.